Thank you very much. Now, if you don't read the Orange County Register, you probably missed a very telling article by Stephen Greenhut last month. It's a story about a little company you may have heard called Carl's Jr., which started with just $325 in a hot dog cart in Los Angeles. We all know how big the company is today. It's the fourth largest fast food restaurant in the nation with $4 billion in sales last year. They paid $60 million in California taxes. The company has over 72,000 employees, 18,500 of them tax-paying citizens of California. 70 years after the start of that company, California has incrementally turned its back on this massive employer. According to their CEO, it costs $250,000 more to build one California restaurant than in Texas. And the article explains that Carl's Jr. is now opening 300 restaurants in Texas and only maintaining its presence in California. The reason? California's regulatory environment. According to the article, the CEO says it takes 8 months to 2 years to open a new restaurant compared to an average of 1.5 months in Texas. And after you open a restaurant in California, a company must undergo so many requirements and inspections that it becomes excessively costly. When we consider that California's unemployment rate is the second highest in the nation, stories like this should make us pause. How many companies never got started in the first place because of our regulations? How many businesses are expanding in other states or other parts of the world because it's easier, it's cheaper, it's less hassle? Hundreds of new regulations are enacted every year. We now have 28,000 pages of them in our California Code of Regulations. As the Senate Pro Tem said at his press conference in February, with so many regulations, he can't imagine trying to start a business in California. I wholeheartedly agree. Many of these regulations came from good intentions, but when regulations get us to the point where a business owner is being sued for having his bathroom mirror 2 inches out of compliance with state regulations, something's wrong with our system. Regulations are enacted by unelected bureaucracies, often with little public scrutiny, yet regulations carry the same effect, the same force of law as legislation. Legislative power is not for us to give away to state agencies. We need more oversight of regulations, and they need a complete overhaul. SB 396 will require a system-wide review of every last regulation on the books. It requires agencies to identify sectors affected by each regulation and consult with them on their final report. It requires them to identify the cost of those sectors, identify duplicative regulations, whether certain regulations are still relevant, some are not, whether a regulation needs to be updated in order to become more effective or less burdensome. It does not institute a sunset on regulations as attributed to opponents, which was spelled out in the committee analysis. We can all argue about how this economic slump started and who is responsible, but it's undeniable that no matter where the rest of the country's economy is, California continues to be worse off. We can change all that by looking at what is getting in the way of entrepreneurs and job creation. If we want jobs in California again, these regulations have to change. I respectfully ask for your support on this important measure.